The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pac wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Back in the saddle again with a brand new episode of the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. I'm your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt. And here to give his perspective on all things NC State wrestling is the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio.
Brian, it's good to see you again. I feel like we've spent a lot of time together here last several days.
Pat, we have, and you know, you went to go get lunch. You didn't offer me lunch.
This is called On the Run. This is Smoothie. Maybe we get him as a sponsor.
You told me to come over. Told me let's tape.
I had to get something in me.
Yeah, that's true.
Went right from practice. I tell the guys, 30 minutes, you got to put something in your body. It's been about 2 hours.
Well, I ate yesterday, so I guess I'm skipping a meal today, but we're all good. I mean,
you look lean, though.
Let's get right into this episode. All the listeners know they should already be subscribed to the only podcast in D1 wrestling hosted by a school, so find us on all those podcasting platforms. But good weekend of action for NC State. 2 duels, 2 different arenas, 2 Wolfpack team victories. NC State improved to 11-2 in duels on the season with a 20-10 win over Brown, followed up the very next day with a 26-10 win over West Virginia. Pat, this is the second time in a matter of weeks you guys have had back-to-back weigh-ins. How was it handled this time around?
It was good. This was part of the scheduling. Guys did a really good job of keeping their weight in check, and you know, this time of season, that's what we were looking for, is to condition guys with their bodies, and you know, more of a routine. And I think we did a really good job of that this past weekend. So it showed in the way they competed.
The duel against Brown was the first ever for NC State at the PNC Arena, which is home to the men's basketball team and the Carolina Hurricanes. What did you and the team think about wrestling at that big venue?
It was great. I think it was definitely different for us and similar to the kind of arena we're going to compete at the NCAA tournament. And, you know, I love Reynolds. To me, that's probably the best wrestling venue. I'm obviously biased to it, but I think it is really one of the best wrestling venues in the country. It's loud. It's right there on top of the mat. But every now and then it's good to change it up so guys aren't in a normal routine. And, you know, that's kind of what we're going to see when we go to the NCAA tournament. You're going to be in a bigger arena. It's going to be set up like that. Just got to continue to grow things, and thought we had a decent crowd there, and it would be nice to, as time goes on, grow our fan base. And that's what this was all about.
Something new we tried after the West Virginia duel, a meet and greet for all of our season ticket holders. Coaching staff and all the guys came to interact, and I heard a lot of positive comments from the fans about getting to talk to the guys. How important are events like that to continue to build the fan base and reward those who buy season tickets?
It's big, you know, and we're going to continue to do different things like that. It was really action-packed weekend for us with that, and, you know, it's one of those more people get to know our guys. I think the more they're going to become fans of our program, because our guys do a great job. They got great personality and good quality kids all together. So once people get to know what these guys are about, it's easy to jump on board with them. I do have to apologize, though. This weekend was brutal on me. I think I did hit the flu. So I had to bail out of there pretty quick, and I wish I could have spent a little more time. But I got some good sleep, and I'm almost back to normal. It took 24 hours, but I'm feeling better now.
That's important.
I know you were worried about that. I could tell.
You had to battle through a little adversity. You know, we thought you just had we thought you had other things to get to.
Yeah, so. Right. I think I was recovering. Just I don't know. Now I feel a lot better. Will hooked me up with some good meds. Dr. Jacobson gave me some good meds, so knocked it out of me pretty quick. But I definitely got the flu, I think. Back-to-back
duels. They're tough on the coaching staff, too.
Yeah, right.
On to action on the mat against Brown. We saw redshirt senior Sean Files wrestle up at 133 pounds and scored a tech fall win, but some fans might not know he had to wrestle that match a little bit on the lighter side. He actually had to weigh in at 129. What was the reasoning behind having Sean up at 133, and can you tell our listeners why he had to weigh in so far below that weight?
Yeah, we're going to play around with our lineup until we get everybody back and we're full force. The luxury is we got some depth at some weights, and we just have to piece things together for the time being. Sean did a really good job going out there, going up a weight class, and I mean he's that good. He's capable of beating anybody. It doesn't matter if it's 25 or 33. And NCAA has some safety precautions with the descent plan. And it's good. I think for where we're at with the sport now, guys have done a really good job keeping their weight in check. But, you got to follow the weight descent plan. And if you want to be back down in a week or two, you can't weigh in too high. So that was part of the reason why he weighed in where he was at, because we will have him back down for the App State Open. He'll get hopefully four matches in there heading into the end of the season. We need to get his 8-match total, and that's the plan right now, is get him down there for the App State Open, and then we'll see where we're at. Once Tariq's ready to get back in the lineup, we'll be full force again with Sean at 25, Tariq at 33, and Renan is, if we need Renan, he can wrestle right now, but there's no need. We'll take our time with him.
Killed my injury update question.
Oh, yeah, okay. We'll get to that in a little bit. We can touch more.
That's good. So when Sean was at 133, redshirt freshman Zurich Storm got the 2 starts at 125 and split his matches. Good opportunity for Zurich over the next few weeks, as it might be a little while until we see Sean again at 125. How has Zurich progressed with more matches under his belt in his first campaign here?
He's improving a lot. He had a little bit of a letdown against Brown. I think he knows that, but he stepped it up big time the next day, and that's what I was wanting to see. I want to see how he responded. And we just got to get him. He's a freshman in our lineup, and we want to see consistency out of him. But he's tough, hard-nosed, hard-working kid, great, smart. And he brings a lot of value to our program right now. And I love his style of wrestling. He's aggressive, and he's fun to watch. He can score at any given time. So I think that's just one of those things you come along with freshmen. He's improved a lot since he's been here, and with time, he'll become more consistent.
You already stole my thunder.
Uh-oh.
Can you provide updates on Tariq and Nick and how they're progressing?
So both guys are working out and training right now. It's different training until they're 100%. Renan, if we need him to wrestle, could wrestle, but we are going to take our time, ease him back into some things, and just get him back close to 100% as we can for the focus that we want, and making sure we strengthen things that need to be strengthened. And Tariq, it's going to be, once they tell us he can go, we plan on him being back. Timing, we won't know. It'll be week to week, but we obviously have a couple duels that we were figuring we'll throw him in the lineup for if he's ready to go. And if not, we're going to have guys step up and deliver. And that's what's making our team a little bit of adversity here right now. It's been a while since we had to deal with this, but I like the way our guys responded this past weekend, and we're going to have to do this every week until we're 100% again.
This past weekend, you guys were down 3 top 12 guys in the country, too, who were at different weights or were out of the lineup. But you also had to make a change at a 4th weight. Redshirt senior Jamel Morris has now been inserted into the lineup at 141. And all he did against Brown in West Virginia was skip back-to-back 16-0 Tech Falls wins. Jamel's been at a few different weights here, but he's now at 141. What do you expect from him moving forward?
Well, yeah, Jamel stepped in. He did a phenomenal job getting those 2 wins the way he did, dominant fashion, looking real confident. So he will be our starter right now at 141 pounds until I think I like what I see. The confidence is there. We might wrestle some other guys at that weight not this weekend, next weekend at the App State Open, see how they do. But he's shown that he's the guy right now, and going out and doing what he did this past weekend. I really liked his offense and how aggressive he was, and he looked very composed. So as time goes on, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table for this program. But right now we need him where he's at and need him to step up big time.
Important weekend for the Bullard twins. At 165, Thomas, he got 2 top 20 wins, very dominant in both. And his brother Daniel right behind him got a decision and then a tech fall over WVU. That's the kind of aggressive wrestling you needed to see from those two.
Absolutely. And that's what we've been preaching to those guys for a while, and it's finally clicking. And I think you're going to see more of that, and that's what's great about a long season that we're in. Sometimes it takes some guys to certain points of the season where things start really clicking for them, and that's what we saw this past weekend, and I think we're going to build some confidence on that, and that's going to be the style of wrestling that those guys are going to bring to the table, and being really good and tough on top like they were in high school, and that's what we expected out of them, and I was happy that those guys wrestled the way they did because that's well needed at this point for us.
And still, it seems like there's no clarity at heavyweight. Both freshmen, Colin Lawler and Deontay Wilson, wrestled in one match over the past weekend. You said before you're waiting for them to make the decision for you, but as a head coach, when does this decision have to be made for the NCAA championships allocation and preparing for the ACC championships here?
Yeah, we're getting, you're allowed to select your starters every other week. You can kind of change that up. I have a feeling right now that's going to be the case until one of these guys decides they want to be the guy at this weight. We really need somebody to step up, go out there and compete to the level that we expect them to. And, we're just at that point as far as the program where we're at. Every guy that we throw on the mat, we expect them to win. And unfortunately, this past weekend, that wasn't the case. And it'll take some time with some younger guys, and we're being patient. But at the same time, we want better results there. Those guys know it, and they're working hard. So it's not a lack of effort on their part. It's just something with the experience, that becomes very valuable. And we're hoping with a little more time, these guys are going to be that much more ready. But yeah, that's a weight class. We really expect big things out of both those guys, and I'm hoping that they'll figure that out by some big wins that they can get over the next couple weeks.
And moving ahead to this weekend's action, NC State will host Drexel on Saturday, January 19th in Reynolds at 6 o'clock. A new opponent for you. NC State has not faced the Dragons since 2008. Any connections to their staff, and how did this duel come about?
Yeah, I think it was one we put some feelers out to get some new teams down here to Raleigh, and they were willing and able to do that. They have obviously some good individuals and had a good win last weekend, so it's another team that's up and coming. Azeveto's done a phenomenal job over there. So we just wanted to see some new guys, and this is a good opportunity to do that. And one, we figured we're going to return the date next year so we can get up in PA as well and wrestle up there. We got a lot of guys that are from close to that area, so it's an opportunity for us to get on the road as time goes on. And, we needed that extra home duel this year, the way our schedule was, and it just so happened to fall into place for us like that.
The Dragons are going to come in with a 4-4 dual record, a trio of ranked wrestlers, number 16 at 165, number 15 at 197, and number 16 at heavyweight. And this is the last non-conference matchup before you guys get into ACC duels to close out your season. How important is it for the team to go out against Drexel and continue to build confidence going into conference action?
Absolutely. I think you hit it on the head. They got 3 ranked guys right now, and we're without 2 starters. So you look on paper right now, there's 5 matchups that are going to be real competitive. I'm sure there's going to be others, but as far as the rankings go, those are matches that they're probably going to be favored in, so we know what we're going to be in for. We're going to need guys to step up this coming weekend. Guys are well aware of that, so I'm excited to see how we respond, and we'll carry that momentum into the ACC dual meets, and hopefully week to week we'll see where we're at with getting other guys back in our lineup.
Kind of putting you on the spot here, and this isn't to criticize, just want to get your opinion, not just because of what happened this past weekend, but it seems like there's a little controversy, hands to the face call, refs are calling it. I know it probably went against you down in Florida. What are your thoughts, since it has been a point of emphasis for officials this season?
Yeah, it's got to be consistent. That's the hardest thing right now. one ref calls it this way, another ref calls it that way. One ref doesn't call it early in the match, but because it happened 2 or 3 times, he decides to call it. So it's just one of those that, if we're going to call it, let's call it every second that it happens. And if we're not going to do that, then let these guys wrestle. So it's frustrating. And I think it's even harder on people that are becoming fans of the sport, watching it, to understand what's going on. And just the more basic we can keep scoring, I think the better it will be to grow our sport. And to me, that kind of really involves a ref to dictate the outcome of matches. And I think that was the case what you saw this past weekend.
You really haven't come over the scores table this year to challenge some of these calls. You used to come over, visit, challenge the referees a little bit, but you're really staying in that bench area this year.
We still have a couple duels left, so.
Okay. And we can get into a whole discussion about a lot of NCAA rules and such, but I'll get you out of there on this. A couple of top 20 wins got Thomas Bullard booked as a guest on this week's podcast. I chickened out on having both Bullard twins at the same time because I admit I can't tell them apart. Now, you have to be honest, and I heard their opinion on this. Can you tell Thomas and Daniel apart after 3 years?
Only time I can tell them apart is when one has a black eye or when they're down to weight. Other than that, they get me every time. It's very challenging to tell them two apart because a lot of times they're wearing the same thing. But I can. When Thomas is down the weight, I can see a total difference between Thomas and Daniel. But when they're close to weight, they're tough for me. But I do know now, I have a little secret. I won't tell them how I can tell them apart, but I got it. Got it figured out.
Thomas did tell us he thought you at least tried telling them apart, so he was appreciative of that.
Yeah, when they're looking right at me, I can tell them apart. But if I get a side view or they're like behind, it's not happening.
Okay. Well, they've been here 3 years. You still got 2 more. So
2 more. I'll get it figured out. Give me some time.
Pat, great having you on. Sorry I ruined your lunch plans, but a great next couple of weeks of Wolfpack home action, starting with Drexel this Saturday at 6 in Reynolds. Good luck to you and the guys.
Appreciate it, and looking forward to getting everybody in Reynolds.
A new guest to the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, NC State starter at 165 pounds, and one half of the Bullard twins, redshirt sophomore Thomas Bullard, joins us in the podcast. Thomas, great to finally catch you after practice and have you on as a guest.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Now, I'm assuming this is Thomas. I did text you and not ask you in person, so I'm a bit more confident I didn't mix you and your brother up. But I have to admit, after the West Virginia duel this past weekend, I asked the wrong Bullard to do media. So a bit nervous when it comes to you two. I can't tell you guys apart in certain situations, but backs to me in warm-ups, not quite as confident. But you two are beyond nice when people aren't sure who is who. How often do people get you two mixed up?
Pretty often. The closer people are with me, usually they can tell us apart. But, even some of the coaches mess us up sometimes, so it's pretty often.
Would you agree? Singlets you can tell apart, warm-ups maybe not as much?
Yeah, definitely. Once we get on the mat, a lot of people can tell from our different wrestling styles. But if we're in warm-ups, it's the same thing. It's kind of hard to tell.
And you said... You brought this up, so right off the bat, going to put you in the hot seat. Which NC State coaching staff members are not able to tell you two apart after 3 years in the program?
All right, so on a good day, I'd say they all can, but most days I'd say Pat struggles sometimes. I'd say Donnie can tell us apart. Adam can tell us apart. Obi, it's hit and miss, but yeah.
So, Pat, if he can't tell you apart, is it a general Bullard, or does he even try?
It's a general Bullard sometimes, but he tries for it sometimes, and he usually gets it right. But I don't. It's hit and miss.
So I was gonna say, give us some advice. How can we tell you two apart?
Obviously we're twins, so it's pretty hard. But there's a scar next to my eyebrow that's you can kind of see, or a mole on my face. But that's small stuff. We're kind of hard to tell apart. He's a little bigger, obviously, but besides that, we're pretty similar.
How did your parents do growing up? Did they share any stories with you guys?
All right, so growing up, my mom color-coded us a little bit. So I was red and Daniel was blue. And, so I went out. We went to a red school, so.
Okay. And when was the last time you guys tried to switch on anybody?
It's been a little bit. In high school, we messed around with the people sometimes, but usually that's more of the Morris's things. They switch on people all the time when they're introducing each other. I'm Jamal, that's Jamel, and it's almost always the reverse. So Usually me and Daniel stick with ourselves, though.
I assume you guys are roommates?
Yes.
Who else are you guys rooming with?
Trevor and Nick.
How do they do?
They're great. They know us. I mean, obviously everyone messes up occasionally, but like if our backs are turned, something like that, but they know how to tell us apart.
Okay, and I'm not going to name names, but some other members of the Wolfpack have dubbed the Bullards as the messiest pair of teammates now that Michael Machiavelli no longer has a locker. True or false?
I don't know about messiest, but far from the cleanest locker, so I can't complain.
Okay. From Lawrenceville, Georgia, Archer High School. Were you and your brother a package deal to college wrestling teams, or did it just kind of turn out that way?
Oh, no, we were always going to go to the same school. Just when we started getting recruited, we were like, all right, well, this is awesome. We're going to go take these opportunities, but we're going to go together. We grew up training together, and I believe that's been a large part of our success, pushing each other and being able to compete on and off the mat. So going to the same school was very important to us while we were getting recruited.
And in high school as a senior, you were at 170 and Daniel was at 182. Now here at NC State, you're still one weight class below him. How was it decided, even back to your youth days, who would get to go at what weight class?
So generally it was just whoever was a little bit bigger. Daniel's my technically younger brother, but he's always been a little bit bigger, except my freshman year of high school. But I don't know. It's just usually who's bigger. We actually, most of my senior year, I was 160 and he was 170. We bumped up for the end, but
was there ever a wrestle off?
No. We that's asking for trouble. We only when we were like really young, we wrestled, but after a certain age, our parents were like, "All right, you guys aren't gonna. That's a bad idea."
We talked about how to tell the twins apart from looking at you guys. What about wrestling styles? What would you say you're better at, Daniel? And then flip that around. What might he be better at than you on a wrestling mat?
So Daniel's a little bit more. He's a little more aggressive with his shots. He shoots more. I usually try to counter what the other guy does. Like I'll push we both push the pace a lot, but he definitely takes more shots. On top, I'm more likely to throw a leg in. He's more likely to do like crab wrestling and stuff like that. It's small stuff, but when you know what you're talking about, it's definite differences.
And you had an interesting first season here at NC State. You were set to redshirt back in 2017 and even went to a couple of tournaments on the redshirt circuit. But with an injury, you were called into action in early December and became the starter at 157. What did you think of that situation back then? Any chance to start, I was psyched about. It was a tough weight cut to make it for the first couple of times, but I was like, this is what I came to do. I came here to compete. I came here to break the starting lineup and do big things for Wolfpack. So I was psyched for it. Very, very happy to get called into action. In that freshman season, you were an NCAA qualifier going 21-12. Looking back, how did that season go for you after being called up?
I think it went all right. Wasn't quite what I hoped for, but it went fairly well. Obviously, I want to do more than just qualify, but because I went 0-2 at NCAAs, so not exactly what I wanted, but it was still a learning. It's a part of the learning process, and it was a good season.
And back into redshirt last season, but you worked your way up to 165. How was the adjustment going up a weight class?
It was pretty good. We lifted hard all over the summer, but I was cutting a lot of weight to get to 157, so it wasn't too hard to adjust just to 165.
How's the weight cut now to 165?
It's healthy. It's good. It's not to the point where I'm too light, but I don't struggle too much.
Does your brother get to eat more than you?
Yes, he does. He also had to lift a little harder in the summer, eat a little more, to try to get his natural weight heavier than mine.
And I thought Pat had an interesting point back on an earlier podcast. This is the first season both you and Daniel are in the lineup at the same time as you guys took alternating redshirt seasons. Is that something that helps you too, knowing both of you are going through the exact same thing in duels compared to open tournaments and such?
Yeah, I do believe it's something that helped. I've always grown up competing with him. We've always gone back-to-back weight classes. knowing he has my back, we're going back to back. It's comforting. It's something I like about being in the lineup with him.
And you're at 165. He's at 174. I know it's right after your match, but how much are you able to watch him? And the Bullards are kind of quiet, but do you get vocal at all during his matches, or does he get vocal during yours?
I'm probably more vocal than Daniel. So he's warming up for my match, so he still has to focus. But after my match, I'm done, so I can yell as much as I want and get into it. I can let loose a little bit. But no, I definitely get into his match. If I'm getting a little too loud, my teammates will quiet me down. But no, I'm definitely vocal during his matches.
Have we started a duel where he was first and you were last?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
That'd be kind of an interesting dynamic.
That would be, yeah.
But this past weekend in a pair of home duels, you really cashed in and had a statement weekend. 2 ranked opponents, 2 ranked wins. You seemed really to get into your offense fast and got, I think, 4 near falls. How much confidence does that give you moving forward that you're able to rack up so many points against good competition?
Definitely a lot of confidence. This has been kind of the breakthrough weekend I've been looking for. I've been training hard, just keep on working, and it's nice to have some success finally paying off against some ranked opponents.
Yet another opportunity for another ranked win this weekend as the Wolfpack hosts Drexel on Saturday at 6 o'clock. You're slated to face number 16, Jarrell, a junior who's 14-4. What are you going to have to do to win your 3rd straight match against a top 20 foe?
Just go out there and wrestle my match. Work hard, push the pace. Same thing.
Would you rather get a takedown or a near fall?
Oh, near fall.
Okay. Makes the match go kind of quick sometimes.
Yeah. You can. If you put them away, then it's done. You score more points.
Any frustration, or have you noticed teams aren't picking down on you as much as they had before?
It's definitely frustrating because I can't get to my turns on top as easy, but they also can't escape. So it has its bonuses and takeaways, but I don't know. It's just part of the match.
And I think at this point, you've kind of come to expect that sometimes, so you've already adjusted styles for the second and third periods.
Yeah, it's something I've been working on, taking more shots, being more offensive on my feet.
And still one more non-conference duel with that Drexel matchup this weekend, but looking ahead to your conference slate, how tough is the ACC at 165?
It's pretty tough, but not worried about it. Take one match at a time. I'm not a guy that looks ahead and gets stressed about the opponents I might have. They're all just out there to compete. The score is always 0-0 going into a match. So
I think 165 is a lot different too. You really haven't faced these guys before. Everybody in this weight class is new. Do you like a new guy, or do you like facing someone that you faced already?
I like new guys. I like some variety. I mean, if I have to wrestle the same guy, it's not a big deal, but I think I prefer variety.
Thomas, it was great to have you on the podcast and get a little insight in the world of being a twin. And you really put some pressure on me because now I got to book Daniel for an interview. But good luck this weekend and for the rest of the season. Wolfpack Nation, they really enjoy watching the Bullards wrestle when you guys are on top and getting those turns.
Thank you. Go Pack.
I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack wrestling fans, go Pack.
Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to mattalkonline.com.